Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, where we get a chance to sit down together as your family, as Prabhupada's family, and hear from him directly for a whole hour, just hearing his books and his purports, and letting his power and his potency, his empowerment, rather, to spread Krishna consciousness enter our hearts and make us closer to Krishna, bring us closer to Krishna. That's what's happening. Okay. We're going to read Srimad-Bhagavatam as we've been doing for quite some time. We reached the 10th canto. That means we've done the whole 9 cantos together. It's amazing, isn't it? How time flies when you're having a good time, and how it slows down when you're not having a good time. Okay. Yes, Srila Sanatana Goswami, in our line of spiritual authority back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was right next to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he heard for a longer time on the broadest spectrum of knowledge from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu than anyone else. He heard for 2 months straight. And the result of that was Briya Bhagavatamrita, Srila Krishna Lila Stava, and many other books. So, in this Sri Krishna Lila Stava, he dedicated 12, 13, 14, 15, 5 verses to glorifying the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the source of the pastimes of Krishna. You can't find all the pastimes of Krishna together in one place, except in the Srimad Bhagavatam. They're sprinkled throughout the Puranas, but they're very hard to find unless you know what you're doing and you know what they are, where they are. But the Srimad Bhagavatam brings it all together, and all of his incarnations, the main ones, and now we're in Krishna Lila. 90 chapters out of 335 chapters are about Krishna. So he's the main player here, Krishna, the source of all the other incarnations, the source of the material world, and all the energies, our own bodies and all the things that we have to live. And we've heard all about that, the first 9 cantos. Now, our love for Krishna, it will come out. It should come out, because we're learning. We've already learned about, how much he means to us. Hare Krishna, Hare Bo. Srimad Bhagavata Mahima Stotram, and it goes like this: Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha, Sarva Vedaika Satpala, Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya, Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana, Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu, Kalidvandoditaditya, Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya, Prema Varshaksharayate, Sarvada Sarvasevyaya, Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madekta Bando Matsangim, Madguro Man Mahadana, Madnastadaga Madbhagya, Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Sadhu sadhu dadayin, adini chuchata kada, anamuncha kadachin mam, premna rit kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we've heard how Krishna appeared and then was transferred, carried over to Gokula, and became the foster son of Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, actually the real son. But it appeared externally like he was a foster son. And then we heard how the birth ceremony was given, and then we heard how Nanda Maharaj wanted to go to Mathura to pay tribute to the king and meet Vasudev, his friend, more than his friend, his cousin brother. And there they met, and Vasudev tested him, asked him a few questions to see if it really was still a secret, what happened. And he was satisfied it was a secret. And then he told Nanda Maharaj, you better get back to Braj soon, because I think that there's going to be some problems, some disturbances. Because he knew that Kamsa was sending out all of his cohorts in crime to kill all the children around in a certain area, because he knew that Narada had told him that Krishna was out there somewhere, and so did Yogamaya told him. So now Kamsa's really upset. He's wound up like a top, and he's got all these, big yogis around him and demoniac persons, and he sent Putana, and Krishna easily dispensed with Putana. And so Nanda Maharaj is coming back, and he sees this huge form, like 10 miles long or something, or miles long. When she fell down, she broke all the trees and a whole big area. And he was amazed, and he said, this Vasudeva must become a mystic yogi, he knows the future, And then he came back, and then, everything was okay. Now we're going to wait until the next demon that's sent by Kamsa to kill all the children. And now we're going to hear chapter 7 of the 10th canto, the killing of the demon Trnavarta. In this chapter, Sri Krishna's breaking of the cart, Shakata Bhajana, killing the Asura, known as Trnavarta, and demonstrating the entire universe within his mouth are especially described. When Shukadev Goswami saw that Maharaj Parikshit was eagerly waiting to hear about Lord Krishna's pastimes as a child, he was very much pleased, and he continued to speak. When Sri Krishna was only 3 months old, he was just trying to turn backside up. Before he even attempted to crawl, Mother Yashoda wanted to observe a ritualistic ceremony with her friends for the good fortune of the child. In other words, when the child turns over, they have a ceremony, a ritual, sanctification, sanskar. Such a ritualistic ceremony is generally performed with ladies who have small children. When Mother Yashoda saw that Krishna was falling asleep because of other engagements, she put the child underneath a household cart called Shakata. And while the child was sleeping, she engaged herself in other business pertaining to the auspicious ritualistic ceremony. Underneath the cart was a cradle, and Mother Yashoda placed the cart in that cradle. The child was sleeping, but suddenly he awakened, and, as usual for a child, began to kick his small legs. This kicking shook the cart, which collapsed with a great sound, breaking completely and spilling all its contents. Children who were playing nearby immediately informed Mother Yashoda that the cart had broken and therefore she hastily arrived there in great anxiety with the other gopis. There, Mother Yashoda immediately took the child in her lap and allowed him to suck her breast. Then various types of Vedic ritualistic ceremonies were performed with the help of the Brahmanas. Not knowing the real identity of the child, the Brahmanas showered the child with blessings. Another day, when Mother Yashoda was sitting with her child in her lap, she suddenly observed that he had assumed the weight of the entire universe. She was so astonished that she had to put the child down. And in the meantime, Trnavarta, one of the servants of Kamsa, appeared there as a whirlwind and took the child away. The whole tract of land known as Gokula became surcharged with dust. No one could see where the child had been taken, and all the gopis were overwhelmed because he had been taken away in the dust storm. But up in the sky, the Asura, being overburdened by the child, could not carry the child far away, although he could not drop the child because the child had caught him so tightly that it was very difficult for him to separate the child from his body. Thus Trnavarta himself fell down from a great height, the child grasping him tightly by the shoulder, and immediately died. The demon having fallen, the gopis picked the child up and delivered him to the lap of Mother Yashoda. Thus Mother Yashoda was struck with wonder. But because of Yogamaya's influence, no one could understand who Krishna was and what had actually happened. Rather, everyone began to praise the fortune for the child having been saved from such a calamity. Nanda Maharaj, of course, was thinking of the wonderful foretelling of Vasudeva and began to praise him as a great yogi. Later, when the child was on the lap of Mother Yashoda, the child yawned, and Mother Yashoda could see within his mouth the entire universal manifestation. Text 1 and 2. King Parikshit said, "My Lord, King Parikshit said, My Lord, Shukadeva Goswami, all the various activities exhibited by the incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are certainly pleasing to the ear and to the mind. Simply by hearing of these activities, simply by one's hearing of these activities, the dirty things in one's mind immediately vanish. Generally, we are reluctant to hear about activities of the Lord, but Krishna's childhood activities are so attractive that they are automatically pleasing to the mind and ear. Thus, one's attachment for hearing about material things, which are the root cause of material existence, vanishes, and one gradually develops devotional service to the Lord, attachment for Him, and friendship with devotees who give us the contribution of Krishna consciousness. If you think it fit, kindly speak about those activities of the Lord." Purport. As stated in the Prema Vivarta, Krishna Bahirmukha Haya Bhogavanchakari Nikatasthamaya Tari Japitiya Dari. Our material existence is Maya, or illusion, in which we desire different varieties of material enjoyment and therefore change to different varieties of bodies. Brahmayan sarvabhutani yantra rudani mayaya. Asan apiklesha da asa deha. as long as we have these temporary bodies, they give us many varieties of tribulation. Adhyatmika, adibautika, and adidaivaka. This is the root cause of all suffering. But this root cause of suffering can be removed by revival of our Krishna consciousness. All the Vedic literatures presented by Vyasadeva and other great sages are therefore intended to revive our Krishna consciousness, which begins to revive with Shravanam Kirtanam. Shravanam Kirtanam Katha Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna. Bhagavatam 1.2.17. Srimad-Bhagavatam and other Vedic literatures exist simply to give us a chance to hear about Krishna. Just letting it sink in for a second. Vedic literatures exist simply to give us a chance to hear about Krishna. I heard from Gopi Puranadana today that this total body of Vedic literatures in heavenly planets, 10 million volumes or verses, 10 million verses or chapters. I can't remember what it is, 10 million something. So then the demigods, they like to come down to the earth and hear it because, only a small part of them are about Krishna directly. But here they can get the Bhagavatam, and the Bhagavatam is there within that 10 million verses or whatever. But here there's only like a few 100,000 verses, so it's easier to find Krishna. That's how lucky we are to be here, just 500 years after Lord Chaitanya came to give us the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. Krishna has different avatars or incarnations, all of which are wonderful and which arouse one's inquisitiveness. But generally, such avatars as Matsya, Kurma, and Varaha are not as attractive as Krishna. First of all, however, we have no attraction for hearing about Krishna, and this is the root cause of our suffering. But Parikshit Maharaj specifically mentions that the wonderful activities of baby Krishna, which amazed Mother Yashoda and the other inhabitants of Braja, are especially attractive. From the very beginning of his childhood, Krishna killed Putana, Trnavarta, and Shakatasura, and showed the entire universe within his mouth. Thus the pastimes of Krishna, one after another, kept Mother Yashoda and all the inhabitants of Braja in great astonishment. The process to revive one's Krishna consciousness is Adau, Shraddha, Takasadu Sangha. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.4.15. The pastimes of Krishna can be properly received from devotees. If one has developed a little bit of Krishna consciousness by hearing from Vaishnavas about the activities of Krishna, one becomes attached to Vaishnavas who are interested only in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj recommends that one hear about Krishna's childhood activities, which are more attractive than the activities of other incarnations, such as Matsya, Kurma, and Varaha. Wanting to hear more and more from Shukadeva Goswami, Maharaj Parikshit requested him to continue describing Krishna's childhood activities, which are especially easy to hear and which create more and more inquisitiveness. Text 3. Please describe other pastimes of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appeared on this planet Earth imitating a human being and performing wonderful activities like killing Putana. Purport. Maharaj Parikshit requested Shukadeva Goswami to narrate other childhood pastimes exhibited by Krishna while playing as a human being, a human child. The Supreme Personality of Godhead incarnates at different times, in different planets and universes, and according to the nature of those places, he exhibits his unlimited potency. That a child sitting on the lap of his mother was able to kill the gigantic Putana is extremely wonderful for the inhabitants of this planet. But on other planets, the inhabitants are more advanced, and therefore the pastimes the Lord performs there are still more wonderful. Krishna's appearance on this planet as a human being makes us more fortunate than the demigods in the higher planets, and therefore Maharaj Parikshit was very much interested in hearing about him. Text 4. Shukadev Goswami said, when Mother Yashoda's baby was slanting his body to attempt to rise and turn around, this attempt was observed by a Vedic ceremony. In such a ceremony called Uttana, which is performed when a child is due to leave the house for the first time, the child is properly bathed. Just after Krishna turned 3 months old, Mother Yashoda celebrated this ceremony with other women of the neighborhood, so he killed Putana before he was 3 months old. Phew. Amazing. Mother Yashoda celebrated this ceremony with other women of the neighborhood. On that day, there was a conjunction of the moon with the constellation Rohini. As the Brahmanas joined by chanting Vedic hymns and professional musicians also took part, this great ceremony was observed by Mother Yashoda. Purport. There was no question of overpopulation or of children's being a burden for their parents in a Vedic society. Such a society is so well organized and people are so advanced in spiritual consciousness that childbirth is never regarded as a burden or a botheration. The more a child grows, the more his parents become jubilant, and the child's attempts to turn over are also a source of jubilation. Even before the child is born, when the mother is pregnant, many recommended ritualistic ceremonies are performed. For example, when the child has been within the womb for 3 months, and for 7 months, there's a ceremony the mother observes by eating with neighborhood children. This ceremony is called Swadha Bhakshana. Similarly, before the birth of the child, there is the Garbhadana ceremony. In Vedic civilization, childbirth or pregnancy is never regarded as a burden. Rather, it is a cause for jubilation. In contrast, people in modern civilization do not like pregnancy or childbirth, and when there is a child, they sometimes kill it. We can just consider how human society has fallen since the inauguration of Kali Yuga. Although people still claim to be civilized, at the present moment there is actually no human civilization, but only an assembly of two-legged animals. Text 5. After completing the bathing ceremony for the child, Mother Yashoda received the Brahmanas by worshipping them with proper respect and giving them ample food grains and other eatables, clothing, desirable cows, and garlands. The Brahmanas properly chanted Vedic hymns to observe the auspicious ceremony, and when they finished, and Mother Yashoda saw that the child felt sleepy, so she laid down on the bed with the child until he was peacefully asleep. Purport. An affectionate mother takes great care of her child and is always anxious to see that the child is not disturbed, even for a moment. As long as the child wants to remain with the mother stays with the child, and the child feels very comfortable. Mother Yashoda saw that her child felt sleepy, and to give him all facilities for sleep, she lay down with the child, and when he was peaceful, she got up to attend to her other household duties. Text 6. The liberal Mother Yashoda, absorbed in celebrating the Uttana ceremony, was busy receiving guests, worshipping them with all respect, and offering them clothing, cows, garlands, and grains. Thus, she could not hear the child crying for his mother. At that time, the child Krishna, demanding to drink the milk of his mother's breast, angrily threw his legs upwards. Purport. Krishna had been placed underneath a household handcart, but this handcart was actually another form of the Shatakasura, a demon who had come there to kill the child. Now, Jiva Goswami explains that this demon had a mystic power and he could merge into an object and look like he was the object. So he merged into that cart, and Krishna knew what he was up to. That's why he did this. Thus he kicked Shakatasura just to expose him. Although Krishna's mother was engaged in receiving guests, Lord Krishna wanted to draw her attention by killing the Shakatasura. Therefore he kicked the cart-shaped demon. Such are the pastimes of Krishna. Krishna wanted to draw the attention of his mother, but while doing so, he created a great havoc, not understandable by ordinary persons. These narrations are wonderfully enjoyable, and those who are fortunate are struck with wonder upon hearing of these extraordinary activities of the Lord. Although the less intelligent regard them as mythological because a dull brain cannot understand them, they are real facts. These narrations are actually so enjoyable and enlightening that Maharaj Parikshit and Shukadev Goswami took pleasure in them. And other liberated persons following in their footsteps become fully jubilant by hearing about the wonderful activities of the Lord. Text 7. Lord Sri Krishna was lying down underneath the handcart in one corner of the courtyard, and although his little legs were as soft as leaves, when he struck the cart with his legs, it turned over violently and collapsed. The wheels separated from the axle, the hubs and spokes fell apart, and the pole of the handcart broke. On the cart there were many little utensils made of various metals, and all of them scattered hither and thither. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has commented on this verse as follows. When Lord Krishna was of a very tender age, his hands and legs resembled soft new leaves, yet simply by touching the handcart with his legs, he made the cart fall to pieces. It was quite possible for him to act in this way and yet not exert himself very much. The Lord in his Vamana avatar had to extend his foot to the greatest height to penetrate the covering of the universe. And when the Lord killed the gigantic demon Hiranyakashipu, he had to assume the special bodily feature of Nrsingadev. But in his Krishna avatar, the Lord did not need to exert such energy. Therefore, Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. In other incarnations, the Lord had to exert some energy according to the time and circumstances, but in this form, he exhibited unlimited potency. Thus the handcart collapsed, its joints broken, and all the metal pots and utensils scattered. The Vaishnava Toshani remarked that although the handcraft was higher than the child could easily touch the wheel of the cart, and thus it was sufficient to send the demon down to the earth. The Lord simultaneously pushed the demon to the earth and superficially broke the handcart. text 8. When Mother Yashoda and all the other ladies who had assembled for the Uttana festival, and all the men, headed by Nanda Maharaj, saw the wonderful situation, they began to wonder how the handcart had collapsed by itself. They began to wander here and there, trying to find the cause, but were unable to do so. Text 9. The assembled cowherd men and ladies began to contemplate how this thing had happened. Is it the work of some demon or evil planet? They asked. At that time, the small children present asserted that the cart had been kicked apart by the baby Krishna. As soon as the crying baby had, and as soon as the crying child baby, bad, it's supposed to be had. Do you have bad or had? Had. Okay. Make a note for me in your little bag of notes. Make a note that I have to write a letter to Dravida. This sometimes happens in the database when you change the database from the software of the book to the software of the database. Some words that are similar, they get transposed, and this kind of mistake comes. So this has to be corrected in the database. And one of my duties is to do this, because I'm reading out loud every day. Dravida has kindly given me this service. Hare Krishna. Okay. It's not the baby bad kicked, it's baby had kicked. Right? Got it?
It says bad on here as well.
What?
I said it says bad on here as well.
Yeah, that's one of the upgraded ones. But the book says had, right?
My book says bad.
Mine as well.
Yeah.
You know what that is? I'll tell you what that is. Can I tell you what it is? I'm giving you inside information. This is printed in India. And the BB trustees in India refused to use the upgraded version. It's a little. This is inside information. The BBT were having a little discussion about this. You know, this is the kind of change that needs to be made. Okay. Huh? I know, because you've got the right one. Good fortune shines upon you. Okay. And I'm going to. As soon as the crying baby had kicked the cart's wheel, the cart had collapsed. There was no doubt about it. Purport. We have heard of people as being haunted by ghosts. Having no gross material body, a ghost seeks shelter of a gross body to stay in and haunt. The Shakatasura was a ghost who had taken shelter of the hand cart and was looking for an opportunity to do mischief to Krishna. When Krishna kicked the cart with his small and very delicate legs, the ghost was immediately pushed down to the earth and his shelter dismantled, as already described. This was possible for Krishna because he has full potency, as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita 532. Angani yasya sakalendriya vritti manti pashanti panti kalayanti chidam jaganti ananda chinmaya sadan ujvajik vigrahasya govinda maripurusham tamaham bhajami. Krishna's body is Satchidananda Vigraha. That is, any of the parts of his Ananda Chinmaya body can act for any other part. Such are the inconceivable potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord does not need to acquire these potencies. He already has them. Thus, Krishna kicked his little legs, and his whole purpose was fulfilled. Also, when the handcart broke, an ordinary child would have been injured in many ways. Because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he enjoyed dismantling the cart and nothing injured him. Everything done by him is Ananda, Chinmaya, Rasa, full transcendental bliss. Thus, Krishna factually enjoyed. The nearby children saw that actually Krishna had kicked the wheel of the cart, and this was how the accident happened. By the arrangement of Yogamaya, all the gopis and gopas thought that the accident had taken place because of some bad planet or some ghost. But in fact, everything was done by Krishna and enjoyed by him. Those who enjoy the activities of Krishna are also on the platform of Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. They are liberated from the material platform. When one develops the practice of hearing Krishna Katha, he is certainly transcendental to material existence, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Sagunan samatitjaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Unless one is on the spiritual platform, one cannot enjoy the transcendental activities of Krishna. Or in other words, whoever engages in hearing the transcendental activities of Krishna is not on the material platform, but on the transcendental, spiritual platform. So if you're having fun right now, you're on the spiritual platform. Now the idea is to stay here. Text 10. The assembled the assembled gopis and gopas, unaware that Krishna is always unlimited, could not believe that baby Krishna had such inconceivable power. They could not believe the statements of the children, and therefore they neglected these statements as being childish talk. 12. Thinking that some bad planet had attacked Krishna, Mother Yashoda picked up the crying child and allowed him to suck her breast. She then called for experienced brahmanas to chant Vedic hymns and perform an auspicious ritualistic ceremony. Purport. Whenever there is some danger or some inauspicious occurrence, it is the custom of Vedic civilization to have qualified brahmanas immediately chant Vedic hymns to counteract it. Mother Yashoda did this properly and allowed the baby to suck her breast. Text 12. After the strong, stout cowherd men assembled the pots and paraphernalia on the handcart and set it up as before, the brahmanas performed a ritualistic ceremony with the fire sacrifice to appease the bad planet, and then with rice grains, kusha, water, and yogurt, they worshipped the Supreme Lord. Purport. The handcart was loaded with heavy utensils and other paraphernalia. To set the cart back to in its original position required much strength, but this was easily done by the cowherd men. Then, according to the system of the Gopa Jati, various Vedic ceremonies were performed to appease the calamitous situation. Text 13 through 15. When brahmanas are free from envy, untruthfulness, unnecessary pride, grudges, disturbance by the opulence of others, and false prestige, their blessings never go in vain. Considering this, Nanda Maharaj soberly took Krishna on his lap and invited such truthful brahmanas to perform a ritualistic ceremony according to the holy hymns of the Samaveda, Rigveda, and Yajurveda. Then, while the hymns were being chanted, he bathed the child with water mixed with pure herbs, and after performing a fire ceremony, he sumptuously fed all the brahmanas with first-class grains and other food. So here we go. We're devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We want to bless the world with happiness. That's the purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement, to make people in the world happy. Therefore, we have to become free from envy, untruthfulness, unnecessary pride, grudges against others, disturbance by the opulence of others, and false prestige. This is how to get the potency to make blessings so that other people can be happy. Purport. Nanda Maharaj was very confident about the qualifications of the Brahmanas and their blessings. He was fully confident that simply if the good Brahmanas showered their blessings, the child Krishna would be happy. The blessings of qualified Brahmanas can bring happiness not only to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but to everyone. You let that sink in. The blessings of qualified Brahmanas can bring happiness not only to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but to everyone. Because Krishna is self-sufficient, he does not require anyone's blessings. Yet Nanda Maharaj thought that Krishna required the blessings of the Brahmanas. What then is to be said of others? In human society, therefore, there must be an ideal class of men, Brahmanas, who can bestow blessings upon others, namely, upon the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, so that everyone can be happy. Krishna, therefore, says in Bhagavad Gita 4.13 that human society must have 4 social orders, Chaturvarnya Mayashrishtam Gunakarma Vibhagashaha. It is not that everyone should become a Shudra or a Vaishya, and human society will prosper. As enunciated in Bhagavad Gita, there must be a class of Brahmanas with qualities like Satya, truthfulness, Shama, peacefulness, Dhamma, self-control, and Titiksha, tolerance. Here also, in the Bhagavatam, Nanda Maharaj invites qualified Brahmanas. There may be caste Brahmanas, and we have all respect for them, but their birth in Brahmana families does not mean that they are qualified to bestow blessings upon other members of human society. This is the verdict of the Shastras. In Kali Yuga, caste Brahmanas are accepted as Brahmanas. Bipratve Shudram eva hi. Bhagavatam 12:2-3. In Kali Yuga, simply by putting on a thread worth 2 paisa, one becomes a Brahmana. In India, sometimes they wear their Brahmana. You see it? They wear it like this. So people will give them some bakshis. Yeah. It happens. In Kali Yuga, simply by putting on a thread worth 2 pais, one becomes a Brahmana. Such Brahmanas were not called for by Nanda Maharaj. As stated by Narada Muni, Bhagavatam 7.11.35, Yasya ya lakshanam proktam. The symptoms of a Brahmana are stated in Shastra, and one must be qualified with these symptoms. The blessings of Brahmanas who are not envious, disturbed, or puffed up with false prestige, and who are fully qualified with truthfulness, will be useful. Therefore, a class of men must be trained as Brahmanas from the very beginning. Brahmachari Guru Kule Vasan Danto Guror Hitam. Bhagavatam 7.12.1. The word Danta is very important. Dantak refers to one who is not envious, disturbing, or puffed up with false prestige. With the Krishna consciousness movement, we are trying to introduce such brahmanas in society. Brahmanas must ultimately be Vaishnavas. And if one is a Vaishnava, he has already acquired the qualifications of a Brahmana. Brahma Bhutak Prasanatma. Bhagavad Gita 1854. The word Brahma Bhuta, 430:20, refers to becoming a Brahmana, or understanding what is Brahman. Brahma Janatiti Brahmana. One who is Brahma Bhuta is always happy. Prasanatma. Nashochati Nakangshati. He is never disturbed about material necessities. Samak Sarveshu Bhuteshu. He is ready to bestow blessings upon everyone equally. Madbhaktim labate param. When he becomes a Vaishnava, then he becomes a Vaishnava. In this age, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur introduced the sacred thread ceremony for his Vaishnava disciples, with the idea that people should understand that when one becomes a Vaishnava, he already has acquired the qualifications of a Brahmana. Therefore, in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, those who are twice initiated so as to become Brahmanas must bear in mind their great responsibility to be truthful, control the mind and senses, be tolerant, and so on. Then their life will be successful. It was such Brahmanas that Nanda Maharaj invited to chant the Vedic hymns, not ordinary Brahmanas. Verse 13 distinctly mentions Hingsa Mana. The word mana refers to false prestige or false pride. Those who were falsely proud, thinking that they were Brahmanas because they were born in Brahmana families, were never invited by Nanda Maharaj on such occasions. Verse 14 mentions Pavitraushadi. In any ritualistic ceremony, many herbs and leaves were required. These are known as Pavitra Patra. Sometimes when there were Nimba leaves, sometimes Bael leaves, mango leaves, Ashwata leaves, or Amalaki leaves. Similarly, there were Panchagabhya, Panchashasya, and Pancharatna. Although Nanda Maharaj belonged to the Vaishya community, everything was known to him. The most important word in these verses is Mahagunam, indicating that the Brahmanas were offered very palatable food of exalted quality. Such palatable dishes were generally prepared with two things, namely food grains and milk products. Bhagavad Gita 18:4-44 therefore enjoins that human society must give protection to the cows and encourage agriculture. Krishigo Rakshavani Jam, Vaishyakarma Swabhava Jam. Simply by expert cooking, hundreds and thousands of palatable dishes can be prepared from agricultural produce and milk products. This is indicated here by the words Anam Mahagunam. Still today in India, from these two things, namely food grains and milk, hundreds and thousands of varieties of food are prepared. And then they are offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Chatur Vida Bhagavat Prasada Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam Yomi Bhaktya Prayachtati. Then the prasad is distributed. Even today at Jagannath Chetra, even today in Jagannath Chetra and other big temples, very palatable dishes are offered to the deity, and prasad is distributed profusely, cooked by first-class brahmanas with expert knowledge, and then distributed to the public. This prasad is also a blessing from the brahmanas or Vaishnavas. There are 4 kinds of prasad, chaturvida, salty, sweet, sour, and pungent tastes are made with different types of spices, and the food is prepared in 4 divisions called charvya, chusha, leya, and peya prasad, that is chewed, prasad that is licked, prasad tasted with the tongue, and prasad that is drunk. Thus there are many varieties of prasad prepared very nicely with grains and ghee, offered to the deity and distributed to the brahmanas and Vaishnavas, and then to the general public. This is the way of human society. Killing the cows and spoiling the land will not solve the problem of food. This is not civilization. Right now, the whole midsection of America, the farmers, they're all going broke because they've got a whole huge operation, and they depend on big people buying big quantities, you know? And the whole balance of human civilization is going berserk. And they're having to put different kinds of, poison to keep the bugs out. And they're trying to modify them to make them look nice so that everybody will be attracted to them, or make them live longer so they won't spoil when they travel and move them from one place to another. And then when they get it, they process it to make it last longer. And all of this is putting the whole human society into the mode of ignorance. And if we had all small farms everywhere, taking care of everybody with this process, and chanting Hare Krishna and offering it to the deities and the local people, the whole human society would become happy. It is not a joke. This is not a manufactured idea. It is not a myth. It's actually possible. But it requires a change of consciousness. And therefore Prabhupada's plot to purify the human society was to distribute these books in mass quantities. And it will take generations. It can't happen overnight. It will take generations, but eventually, by force of the problems of their own problems they're creating, now we can see what's happening. The weather, it's going absolutely crazy. And thousands and hundreds of thousands of people are without their usual, comforts, their perks, the electricity and the, different things, conveniences. This is not civilization. Uncivilized men living in the jungle and being unqualified to produce food by agriculture and cow protection may eat animals, but a perfect human society, advanced in knowledge, must learn how to produce first-class food simply by agriculture and production of cows. Now they're burning the Amazon rainforest. You know that? Hundreds and thousands of fires are going on right now at the same time. And the stupid president is not allowing aid to come in from the rest of the world, because everyone's worried about it. 25% of the oxygen for the planet comes from the Amazon rainforest. And what are they doing it for? To make more grazing land for, guess what? The cows. So they can kill them and export the meat to America and other places. This is not civilization. Text 16. Nanda Maharaj, for the sake of the affluence of his own son, Krishna, gave the Brahmanas cows fully decorated with garments, flower garlands, and gold necklaces. These cows, fully qualified to give ample milk, were given to the Brahmanas in charity, and the Brahmanas accepted them and bestowed blessings upon the whole family, and especially upon Krishna. Purport. Nanda Maharaj first fed the Brahmanas sumptuously, and then gave them in charity first-class cows decorated with golden necklaces, garments, and flower garlands. That is human society. We'll stop here. Hare Krishna. Okay, our open mic is ready to move around the room. You are now free to Oh, open mic, you are now free to move about the cabin. I'm just about getting in a plane. I'm getting in the mood.
One little comment.
Yes, Kalpam
Hare
Suru.
Krishna. One place we read liberal Mother Yashoda. What is that?
Mother Yashoda, liberal means that her whole existence is mean for taking care of others. Mother is meant to take care of everyone else, and she was the most liberal. But mainly it was to take care of Krishna under all circumstances. But she was so liberal because even though she was taking care of Krishna, when Krishna was asleep, she was taking care of everyone else, going around, making sure everyone had got their gifts, and everyone was greeted nicely, and everyone was talked to nicely, so everyone was happy. That's her duty, to make everyone happy. That's the pure Vaishnava. Yes, sir.
This is just a question. I read somewhere in the Bhagavatam a verse that says that devotees are often not excessively detached from the material world or attached. They sort of are in a middle situation, but I can't remember. I can't find that verse. I read it somewhere. I just wanted to know if you could comment on that, or if you...
Well, first of all, I'd like to see the verse so I know what I'm commenting on. It sounds like you're not sure.
Yeah.
What you're saying is, well, I can say one thing, that it's very clear in all the Bhagavatam, throughout the Bhagavatam, that the Vaishnavas are not overly attached or overly averse. Raga Dvesha, Vimuktais too. If one can give up attachment, over attachment, and Vesha, over aversion, then they can follow regulated principles of freedom and get the mercy of the Lord. So they get the mercy of the Lord by not being, overly jubilant and overly depressed. Something bad happens, they don't become overly, disturbed. Something good happens, they don't become overly, giddy about it. They don't become, they're, in a sense, they're always jubilant because they're always with Krishna. But it allows them to be not affected by material circumstances. Nashochati Nakangchati, that's another verse that says more or less the same thing. Brahmabhuta Prasanatma, when they're actually liberated, then Nashochati Nakangchati. They're not hankering for things they don't have, and they're not lamenting for things that they don't have or things that they've lost.
I was thinking, like, there's certain Buddhists or Jains. Jains are very renounced, and Mayavadis are sometimes very renounced.
No, they act like they're renounced.
Yeah.
But they're actually, it gives them the excuse to, do anything they want. They act like they're renounced, but actually they're very expert in enjoying the material energy.
But
There may be a few priests that act like that. But the rest of the general household population, they're very wealthy. Do you know that? The Jain community? They're made up of Vaishya businessmen, and they're all very wealthy. And these guys walk around with the mask, so they're not going to kill one germ. And they have all of these, and they've concocted their philosophy. You can read about this in the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam. The Jains are produced by a king Arhat or something, the king, who imitated Rishabdev. He was there in that place when Rishabdev was, and then when he perished in the forest fire, then he started to imitate. And he was the one that started the Jain religion. So they were trying to imitate, the level of renunciation of. So sometimes they go naked, walking around, or now they don't do that anymore. But they have very rich followers, and the followers they're just opulent like anything. So it's a sham. It's not a real religion. It's not a Vaishnava religion. It's not teaching everyone to become high class, first class Vaishnava. That's what Prabhupada taught us when I was in Bombay, because there's lots of Jains in Bombay. I'm getting head nodding from the Indian personalities who know about these things in India.
Seems like the ones that are too detached, they can't do the yukta vairagya so much, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why it says, Krishna says, yuktahara viharasya, yukti sarvasya karmasu, yukti swapna nabodasya, yogo bhavati dukkha. You can't actually perform yoga according to the Vedic rules and regulations, according to the real science. If you eat too little or eat too much, sleep too little or sleep too much, don't work too much or don't work enough, don't have any fun, have no fun at all, or have too much fun, you become imbalanced and you can't, focus your mind and be peaceful and give yourself to Krishna and give Krishna to others. It doesn't enter the mind. You're either worried about getting everything for yourself, or you're worried about renouncing everything and you're just dried up like a prune. Yes, Sam.
Little small comment. Was talking about Mother Yashoda and the other women performing rituals after the demon Putna was killed, and Trnavarta. And in the Krishna book, it says that they washed baby Krishna in cow urine and rubbed his body with cow dung too. So
Exactly.
So that wasn't in the Bhagavatam, but in the Krishna book, it definitely says that.
It's in the Krishna book also. It was in a previous chapter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the Krishna book is the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam.
Well, I
It's a
thought
summary.
some of the purports were.
Yeah. Prabhupada does give his own comments. But in the purports of the Bhagavatam, he also gives the comments of the previous acharyas.
And I don't know if everyone knows, you can get soap from India made with cow dung and cow urine.
Yeah. Yes.
And it change your the auspiciousness of your.
Yes. Absolutely.
That's all.
Takes faith. Faith in Krishna, faith in the Vedas. Thank you, Sam.
Maharaj.
Yes, Dr. Damodar.
Thank you, Maharaj. In the translation of this verse 13 to 15, the word used was unnecessary pride, and other words are untruthfulness and grudges. But unnecessary pride, so I was wondering, what is necessary pride?
Well, we don't want to just parse words, but unnecessary pride means when you're proud of something that doesn't warrant pride. Like when Prithu Maharaj was receiving praise from his citizens when he first appeared, they were glorifying him like anything for all the things that he was going to do, because they knew what he was going to do. But he said in return, don't praise me for something I haven't done, because it's actually an insult. If you praise somebody, for something they haven't done or something that they're not, then it's like insulting the person rather than actual praise. So unnecessary pride means when a person becomes proud of being praised by something that they don't really have, a quality, or having done something that they haven't really done, or maybe somebody else did it, or circumstances did it, but they're taking credit for it. So there are times when, on the other hand, on the other side of the equation, you have to actually accept some pride for someone that actually has exalted qualities. Sometimes they might exhibit some pride that is, it's real pride. They've done something wonderful, and people praise them and they accept it. I see your brains turn, the wheels in your brain. Is that okay? That answers it, or not? Doesn't answer it.
Yes, Maharaj. Well, I was wondering because pridelessness,
well, that's another thing. You asked me what false pride was.
Yes.
I'm just talking about what pride is, how it comes about. But pridelessness means when you are free from pride completely. But that means that you think dainya or Trnavarta Tarora amanina, manadena means you give respect to everyone, even if they're your enemies. Then you can get pure love for Krishna. Then you can chant Hare Krishna all the time, constantly. That's a little different than what you asked, but that it's in the same category. The same category.
One last follow-up question. So it's okay to be taking pride of something which you genuinely did.
Well, Prabhupada said it's not that it's good, but it can be accepted, or rather you have to expect it. Prabhupada said you have to expect some pride from someone who has done something really wonderful. He said it's natural. You shouldn't criticize a person for being pride for doing something wonderful. It's natural. Purusham Nrishu. Krishna is the ability in man. Whenever you see somebody do something wonderful, then you could see that it's Krishna. It's a vibhuti. It's a vibhuti of Krishna. Prabhupada used the example. He said, if you're getting good milk from a cow, then you have to expect getting kicked off the stool every once in a while. So if somebody's doing something wonderful, then you have to expect some little, expression of that, and it shouldn't bother you. But if a person, it doesn't have any quality, is proud, and it's the material world is like that. Person, what is it to saying? Proud of his pauper is proud of his penny. A person who's got nothing, he may be proud of one little thing that he has. So pride is relative. But amanina means when you're not proud, then you can give respect for others, even if they give you disrespect in return. That's real pridelessness. And of course, the ultimate concept that has to be accepted and absorbed and assimilated is that the Supersoul is there in the heart of everyone, and therefore every body, every material body, whatever species they're in, is actually a temple of God. And then people who are less intelligent, they think that that's them, and then they think that they're God, and they think that everyone should worship them, which is, again, the extreme of false pride. yes, Honest John is going to give us some truth over here. We're just waiting for him to come.
I don't want to beat the point to death, but
No, you're just fluffing it out even more, like just like
about pride, and we might. I don't want to mince words, but maybe we can express it in a way. Like when I get up in the morning, it's like, I shave and I take a shower and I take pride in my appearance. I don't know if that's, I want to present myself in a certain way. So I don't know if pride is the right word, but is a little bit of that healthy?
there is healthy pride. There is healthy taking care of your own appearance because it belongs to Krishna. So if you're like when we put our tilak, we're doing that because the spiritual master and Krishna asked us to do it. And when we do that, we become attractive to Krishna. Krishna is not attracted to this gross body full of all unmentionable things. But when he sees us trying to be clean and neat because it belongs to him, the body belongs to him. So if we're remembering that the body belongs to him, and we dress very nicely and neatly and cleanly, and especially with tilak and, nicely, and go in front of the deities, so that he can see us, as a Vaishnava, then yes, that's the right feeling. You get a good feeling from that. It's not necessarily pride, but it's being a devotee of Krishna. We've got the best master, and I'm a devotee of Krishna, so we can be proud of being a devotee of Krishna because we have the best master. If that's our mentality, then yeah, it's okay to feel good about ourselves. And we have one more. Something on the internet. Okay, the cyberspace is going to speak to us. It's going to speak to us through the cyberspace. Machines never actually speak. They're trying to make them intelligent, but it's not working out so far. Although I think the Japanese have made some robots that are like alarmingly human-like.
This is from Rati.
Hey Rati, she's back already.
She says, Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Today I understood from your words that we are meant to become pure Brahmin Vaishnavas, so that we will be able to give blessings that will come true, and in this way make everyone in this world happy. I like this idea very much. I have 2 questions about this. 1. Is it bona fide for us to use the mantra, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu?
Is it bona fide for us to use the mantra? It's not bona fide for us to use any mantra. We're serving the mantra. The mantra represents something that we want to make people happy. That's what that mantra means. Let everyone be happy. So we're not using that as, you're not using the mantra. We're applying the mantra and we're worshipping the mantra so that that others will be happy. We're doing it to serve others, not to serve ourselves. Because it's what Krishna wants.
Okay. And our second question is, it's said in the verse that we need to become free from grudges. Sometimes in the course of devotional service, devotees are not in agreement with each other, and their relationships become disturbed for a longer time, and a grudge develops. How should we deal with this within ourselves and towards others?
Well, first of all, we should be submissive to the instructions in the Shastra, because the Shastra is telling us, don't hold grudges. Therefore, you have to let go of grudges. And especially if a person that you have a grudge against have done something wrong, perhaps, and caused a disturbance in your life some way or another. And then if they come and beg forgiveness with tears in their eyes, then it's your duty as a Vaishnava to forgive them. Not hold on, we'll forgive but we won't forget. No, you forgive them, and then when you forgive them, you forget. Of course, if they keep on doing nonsense, that's another thing. That's another thing. But But yeah, we shouldn't we shouldn't hold grudges against others, because it pollutes our heart. It pollutes our heart with anger and malice and all these inauspicious feelings. We shouldn't hold on to inauspicious feelings. We should let them go. And we let them go by absorbing ourselves in Krishna consciousness. And our heart becomes happy. And then we can look at others and we can see them and be happy rather than feel bad, negative when we see someone else, or we see someone else doing well and then we feel bad because we're envious. So no, we have to give up grudges. It's not good at all, especially against other Vaishnavas. This world, and there's faults everywhere in this material world. There's no place where there's no faults or nothing wrong. The material world's full of it. Dukkalayam, Ashasvanam, Anitya, I can't remember the other words, but it's miserable and temporary. Everything about this world is like that. So we shouldn't become disturbed. It's the main instruction in the Gita. If you count the number of times that Krishna tells Arjuna not to be disturbed by happiness and distress, victory and defeat, fame and infamy, loss and failure, heat and cold, and all these things. If we become too disturbed by these things, we can't think of Krishna in love. We can't remember Krishna properly. And then we identify with the material energy and we become morose. We can't feel blissful, and we can't. Therefore you can't give. I said the other day, right? You can't give something that you don't have. If you want others to be happy, then you better be happy, because you're not going to be able to give happiness to others if you're not happy yourself. And all these things, grudges, envy, and malice, avarice, feelings, these negative feelings towards others, especially towards other Vaishnavas, they keep us on the material platform, and they keep us from being blissful and happy, and therefore what we spread maybe is something else. We're meant to spread Krishna consciousness. We're meant to give Krishna to others, and therefore make others happy. Is that okay? Rati?
She hasn't responded yet. But Vilas Manjari Dasi has a reflection.
Yes, please.
She says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. I really appreciated hearing the description of how Mother Yashoda took care of Krishna, and how the ceremonies, e.g. the pregnant mother inviting the neighborhood children to eat with her, kept both mother and child happy and protected. Prabhupada emphasized the children were never a burden, and as long as the baby... she left a comment. Prabhupada emphasized the children were never a burden, and as long as the baby wants to stay with the mother stays with the child. This is such a contrast to present times, where many or most mothers are forced to put their babies in child care centers so that they can work and meet financial demands on them. This chapter paints a picture of how much more auspicious the Vedic lifestyle is for everyone.
Very nice. Thank you so much.
And then Rati says, yes, beautiful, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay, everybody, please, everybody could give me permission to move on. I've got an appointment at 6 o'clock, and it's 5 after 6, so I'm late. Thank you so much again for coming to hear about Krishna. Thank you for your reflections and wonderful ears and consciousness and hearts. And let's please continue to do this for the rest of our lives. So that this is the way to stay Krishna conscious, is to hear about Krishna together continuously. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. So tomorrow is Monday. We'll see you at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, Central Time, right here in the live studios of Radha Lane in ISKCON, Houston. Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow.